Right now, the muscles inside your eyes are in a state of chronic microscopic failure. If you are sitting inside a room with four walls and a ceiling, you are currently conducting a massive, unauthorized evolutionary experiment on your own biology. Your eyes were not designed to process the rigid 90-degree geometry of modern architecture. For thousands of generations, the human skeleton and sensory systems were perfectly balanced to track movement across open savannas and chaotic natural landscapes. But inside our modern concrete ecosystems, a new and invisible predator has emerged. It is the downward tilt of your smartphone and the flat, unchanging surfaces of your office walls. This is the story of how our modern infrastructure is silently breaking your meat suit and why your eyes are literally mutating to survive the world we built. The failure starts with a fundamental biological mismatch that spans billions of years. Your eyes are part of a lineage that began approximately 3.9 billion years ago with the earliest forms of life. By 2.1 billion years ago, eukaryotes emerged with nuclei and complex cytoskeletons. Around 665 million years ago, your ancestors were simple multicellular animals in the kingdom Animalia. By 567 million years ago, the first photoreceptive eye spots evolved. These were simple tools meant to detect the difference between light and shadow in the vast open water. As your ancestors evolved into chordates 530 million years ago, they developed a post-anal tail and a notochord. By 505 million years ago, the first vertebrates appeared, featuring camera eyes and inner ears capable of hearing and balancing. These organs were optimized for the deep time of the ocean, where sight was a primary tool for survival in a three-dimensional, chaotic environment. When your ancestors finally transitioned to land around 395 million years ago as tetrapods, their eyes underwent a radical transformation. They evolved eyelids and tear glands to keep the eyes wet in the dry air. They developed the ability to see in the bright, unfiltered light of the sun. For millions of years, these eyes scanned the horizon for predators and tracked prey through the complex, fractal patterns of forests and grasslands. There were no straight lines in the wild. There were no perfect squares or repetitive flat textures. Your vision evolved to process the infinite variety of nature. The modern square room is a biological trap because it strips away this complexity. Research shows that contact with natural environments reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. This is not just a preference, it is a biological requirement. When you are surrounded by the 90-degree angles of a typical room, your brain is forced into a state of sensory deprivation. Recent studies using virtual reality on zebrafish have proven that our surroundings directly influence the developing biology of the eye. If you place a developing eye in an environment with restricted depth and repetitive patterns, the eye begins to warp. It changes its physical shape to try and find focus where there is none. We are seeing this happen in real time with the global rise of vision problems in urban populations. This shift is happening faster than our bodies can adapt. For 25 million years, primate evolution kept aging rates remarkably stable despite massive gaps in lifespan between species. Our biology was a finely tuned machine that knew exactly how to maintain itself in the wild. But that stability was based on a specific environmental input. We have forced human biology to warp around our modern inventions. Our muscle groups are atrophying because the modern city has stripped away the natural movements we evolved to require. The square room is the ultimate expression of this artificial habitat. It is a cage that our ancient meat suits simply cannot process. The mechanical breakdown is granular and measurable. When you stare at a flat wall, your eyes are not doing the work they were designed for. They are optimized for depth and movement. In a natural environment, your eyes are constantly micro-adjusting. They shift focus between a leaf a few inches away and a mountain on the distant horizon. This constant movement keeps the internal structures of the eye healthy. In a square room, the focal distance is fixed and short. This causes the internal muscles of the eye to lock into a single position. Over time, this leads to a physical breakdown of the tissue. Your brain is operating in a perpetual state of sensory boredom. Data tracking biological aging reveals that social inequality and environmental stressors are accelerating the rate at which our bodies break down. A meta-analysis of 140 studies involving 66,000 participants found that social inequality is associated with faster biological aging. This is measured through newer generations of DNA methylation epigenetic clocks. The more time we spend disconnected from the chaotic patterns of nature, the faster we age. We are witnessing the fastest sensory shift in human history happening right beneath our skin. Your ribcage compresses as you hunch over digital screens. This can reduce your lung capacity by up to 30%. Your brain, operating in this restricted space, begins to thin in regions associated with emotional regulation and focus. Large MRI analyses has uncovered brain region thinning tied directly to major depressive disorder. We did not build our offices, chairs, or devices to fit human biology. We forced human biology to warp around them. Our ancestors moved into caves as far back as 1.8 million years ago. Recent evidence from the Wonderwork Cave in South Africa shows that early humans like Homo erectus were bringing fire into caves 1.79 million years ago. This discovery pushes back the timeline for fire use and reveals sophisticated behavior long before we could create fire on demand. They were not simply passive observers of natural fires. They were actively engaging with fire to provide warmth, protection, and light after dark. They brought the light of the sun into the darkness, but they did not close themselves off from the complexity of the world. They were active participants in their environment. Today, we are passive observers in a world of flat screens and square walls. The result is a forced mutation. We are no longer evolving to survive nature. We are mutating to survive our own inventions. Our eyes are changing shape to handle the short, fixed distances of modern life. Our brains are rewiring themselves to process the constant, shallow stream of digital information. We have successfully built an artificial paradise that our ancient biology simply cannot process. The failing eyes and the brain thinning are just the warning shots. They are the physical evidence of a body that is trying to tell you it is in the wrong habitat. The solution is not just more eye exercises or better glasses. It requires a fundamental rethink of how we build our world. Contact with nature promotes relaxation and reduces symptoms of anxiety. Global analysis of more than 3,800 studies involving over 10 million people supports this. We need to integrate natural environments into mental health strategies and urban planning policies. We need the chaos of nature to keep our biology from stagnating. We need to look at the horizon. We need to see the fractals of a tree or the irregular movement of water. Without these inputs, our sensory systems will continue to fail. We are currently the subjects of the most significant biological shift since our ancestors first stood upright millions of years ago. Australopithecus afarensis showed evidence of full-time bipedalism between 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago. We are watching our bodies transform in real time once again. We are trading our ancient high-performance vision for the ability to stare at a flat surface for 12 hours a day. The square room is not just a place where you live, it is a tool that is reshaping who you are.
Archaeological records show that we have always framed our world through the eyes of those in control. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, foreign excavators were photographed as the mind and eyes of archaeology, while local workers were treated as merely the hands. This framing creates a bias in how we understand our own history and biology. We often ignore the manual, physical contribution of our ancestors in favor of an idealized intellectual view. But our biology is rooted in that manual, physical struggle. When we ignore our physical need for natural complexity, we suffer the consequences in our own eyes and brains. But sensory failure is nothing compared to what happens when you force this same primitive brain into absolute darkness. The eyes are the window to the brain, and when that window is restricted, the internal architecture begins to crumble. We are now discovering that the environment does not just change your eyes, it changes the way your brain processes reality itself. To see the terrifying mutation occurring inside the minds of modern city dwellers who have lost their connection to the natural world, you need to understand how our social structures are mapped onto our very DNA. To see how our brains are being remapped by the very structures we call home, click right here.